Well, we made it. That's right. It's time for the top 15 films of 2022. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Let's fucking do it. All right, at number 15 we have Amsterdam by David O. Russell. This may come as a surprise to a lot of people because this film was not universally liked. I'll tell you that. It was not well received. It was seen as a flop, but I gotta tell you, there is just a charm about this movie that I really, really connected with. I thought the performances in this were fantastic. This is the first time I've actually loved a Margot Robbie performance. I mean, I've somewhat liked some of her performances, but they're a little too flashy for me most of the time. But she did fucking fantastic, and I think she was just being herself, other than the accent. And then, oh my gosh, Christian Bale. I mean, we all know how good of an actor he is, but Jesus Christ, this character is probably one of my favorite characters of his, other than Patrick Bateman. And then there's so many other celebrity ensemble cast in this. It's really impressive. But the other lead, with John David Washington's performance, is perfect. I mean, there's a line in there about how when you really see a person, you can see their childlike self. And I think John David Washington's performance is a testament to that line, that you kind of see with both Margot Robbie and uh, John David Washington's performance in this. And I just love how this film kind of turns into this melting hodgepodge of so many different cultural ideas and political ideas. And at the end of the day, what comes about of a melting pot, a hodgepodge of different people that are within a network, is that one of those byproducts is love. And I think this film's interpretation of love is quite a beautiful thing. I think the scenes that are shown early on with them coming out of the war and going to Amsterdam and just being free with one another, and both romantically and sisterly, brotherly, is kind of a difficult thing to come across these days. So, I loved it. Power to this movie.
Come on, Yank. What are you doing? Come on.
All right, and at number 14, we have After Yang by Kogonada. This is a very tender, very quiet, slow film about a future society where there are AI companions that have a actual human body, and they can act as just members of the family, but they can also perform tasks for you, or in this case, is a very loving sibling to this couple's adopted daughter, who is Chinese, and through him they want her to learn about Chinese culture and her past and that kind of thing. This is very much like a kaleidoscope of different images, different ideas when it comes to love and technology and all of those different elements thrown in. I just think it's a beautiful piece of art. I will admit I fell asleep during this movie, but I don't think having a film make you fall asleep is a detriment to it whatsoever. In fact, I would gladly fall asleep to this movie again. It's just one of those that you can just throw on and be relaxed by the sentiment, the calm, and love for humanity, even though that humanity is displayed through AI. All right, next at number 13, we have The Inspection from Elegance Bratton, which is a very straightforward film. It is about a black, homeless, gay man. This is set in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, I believe. And his only option at that moment to him is to join the military, the Marines in particular. His mother is very religious. She does not approve of him being gay at all. And she even barely gives in to give him his birth certificate in the beginning of the film. But it's basically about him going through basic training, him going through boot camp. And it's brutal, as you would expect, especially at that time when the gay people in the military was still like completely taboo, even though that wasn't that long ago. And you may think to yourself, oh, this is easy, military propaganda. I didn't see it that way. I saw this as a tale of someone who had nothing, even down to their mother's love. That he couldn't get his mother's love. And this felt like a chance for him to prove that he has worth, even though it seems illogical, the choice that he made to join the military, join the Marines. At the end of the day, he might not be alive if he hadn't. So I think this is just a personal story told by Elegance about himself, and I think it's a story worth telling, and I thought it was beautiful, heartbreaking, and yeah, go see this one. It's criminally underseen, and the Animal Collective score is fucking top.
You said you're never going to step a foot in Texas again.
I know, this is unexpected.
Okay, at number 12, we have Red Rocket. A lot of people consider this a 2021 movie. This I was only able to see in the theater at the beginning of this year, so I consider it 2022. And this is just another Sean Baker banger. I mean, this guy knows what he has to do. He's good at what he does. And I think this is his best film yet. It is, if you don't know, it's about a ex-porn star who comes back to his hometown after not really being able to make it after a long stint over in California. He comes back to small town Texas, and he's just kind of tries to figure it out, when really he's just looking for another way to take advantage of somebody and their money or whatever. What's funny is that actor who plays the main character did participate in porn at one point in his career, and that's what Sean Baker does best. Is he does casting very well. He usually casts a lot of non-actors, but Simon Rex is just fantastic in this, and it's really difficult. It's a really difficult movie to watch. It's uncomfortable for many reasons, especially towards the end, but it gets really uncomfortable because you kind of like the guy because he's so charming in the way by how dumb and nice he is, and he just seems like a cartoon character. But then you see what he's really doing, especially with the whole grooming shit, and you're like, damn, how the fuck can I like this guy? And I think that's what Sean Baker does so well, is that he shows you the dark underbelly of America, and you shouldn't love it, but you end up loving it, and you're rooting for it.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing, don't give a...
What?
No.
It's a song about suicide.
You can't listen to music that exactly describes the emotional thing you're going through. You know how cheesy that is? I don't listen to Alanis Morissette when I'm going through a breakup, and I'm not listening to Papa Roach on the day I'm gonna kill myself.
I get that you've been in...
On the Count of Three by Gerard Carmichael is probably one of the better directorial debuts you'll ever see. I mean, I am shocked that Gerard Carmichael has never directed a film before this. I mean, I know he's a comedian, so he's been around in the business for a bit, but I mean, this is fucking fantastic. I mean, it's about two lifelong friends, one of which is clinically depressed and the other one is just going through a really tough time, and they make a pact to shoot each other, and then it becomes like this bucket list thing. But it's like, you know, dark comedy, but it's never like insensitive, you know, because it is about suicide, and it's both beautiful, funny, very dark at some times. I mean, it is, like I said, it's about suicide, but it gets even darker than that, to be honest. And yeah, I just thought this was a banger of a movie. It's short, concise, just a great watch. I recommend anybody with time on their hands to watch this. I think it's on Hulu still. Yeah, just fantastic.
Be cool, Charles. Be cool. Guys.
Emergency by Carey Williams was the biggest surprise of this year for me, for sure. I just kind of saw this was a film from this year that was available to watch on Amazon Prime. I'm like, all right, whatever, it looks kind of interesting. Seemed like a little like a party movie, obviously, you can see by the trailer. But, I don't know, just was feeling in the mood to watch something I didn't have to care all that much about, but holy shit, man. This movie is fantastic. Essentially, I don't want to give too much away, but the main characters are faced with the problem that is very politically and socially relevant at the moment. And they have to kind of deal with it and their own doubts about the world, and maybe even irrational fears cause them a lot more problems than if they were to figure it out the way that anybody else would. And what results of that is just definitely one of the best written films of the year. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a film about college students where the characters actually act and talk like college students. I think this is the first time that I've ever seen that happen. Maybe it's just because I'm in college right now and like past iterations were more accurate. Who knows? But I mean, this is just an amazing film that really just had me bawling towards the end of it. Yeah, check it out. Emergency. Okay, Todd Field's Tar is likely to be very popular around the awards time, which makes sense, which, you know, what appeals to the academies or whatever. But, you know, I gotta give it to Todd Field on this one. This is fucking fantastic. It is a movie about a lot of things. It's a character study. It is about somebody who loses their spot at the top and they can't really deal with it. But also, at the same time, it's about a person who made mistakes, and the whole cancel thing's very relevant within this. But I don't think it's only about cancel culture. That's what a lot of people tell you about this film, is that it's about cancel culture. I don't know about that. I think ultimately this film is just about the ego. It is about the ego, and it is about the rise and the fall, and how in today's age we can rise and fall with our ego. And I'm sorry, but the very known lecture sequence of this film I love because she is totally right. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say that, especially because this movie doesn't really give you any answers, and it's not supposed to, but I kind of agree with her.
I can feel you pulling things around in there.
It's a brand new organ. Never before seen.
David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future is probably a masterpiece. It probably is. This is one I want to come back to probably on a regular basis. This film was written, I think, like either in the late 70s or, sometime during the 80s when Cronenberg was kind of in his prime. And he's waited this long to actually turn it into a film. I don't know the full story behind that, but I just know that this was written a long time ago. And the fact that he's releasing it now in his kind of very late period is fascinating to me. Anything that David Cronenberg puts out is just something that needs to be watched. And I think this is one of his best. Like I said, I think that there's more to come back to. I did see this quite a while ago in the summer. It's a very busy summer, and I feel like I did have a lot of distractions going on. So yeah, just know that no matter how you interpret this film or how you watch it, there's no wrong way. This is definitely one of Cronenberg's most interpretive.
So, is this runway casting for a grumpy brand or a smiley brand?
So it's a grumpy brand, yeah?
Congratulations! Show me that Balenciaga look. Suddenly I'm dressed in something way less expensive. It's H&M! Yay! Balenciaga! And H&M! Balenciaga! And H&M!
In my bottom 15 this year, I had The Menu, which was about a bunch of mega rich people, and it was a movie about class that I thought was really stupid, dumb, like Goo Goo Gaga type shit. Those are the exact words that I used. And it was about class but had very little to say about it, because it was just stupid. This is a film about class that has a lot to say. In fact, it has so much to say that they broke it up into 3 parts. Triangle of Sadness from the Swedish director Ruben Östlund is a breakdown of class in a literal sense. It's broken down to its basic elements. Like, they're literally on a fucking stranded island in the middle of nowhere, and they have to basically create their own functioning society. Well, that society is small, but it basically goes from the top to the bottom. And where do those people who were previously at the top land within that bottom space? I thought the very beginning of this film, the model thing was pretty great, but the long argument that the lead character has with his girlfriend, I thought that was one of the most fascinating dialogue scenes of this whole year, and it was done so beautifully.
This is really bad. This is really, really bad.
So, The Fabelmans, I'd say, was the other surprise of the year for me. Like, Emergency was the surprise that I didn't see coming. The Fabelmans was a surprise because I wasn't expecting this film to be that great. This trailer that I'm showing, I'm not going to show any sound from it, because the trailer's awful. It is so awful. It does not actually show you what this film really is. It is not the magic of cinema. Oh, this is the first time I watched a movie. This is the first time I shot a movie. Blah, 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 by Steven Spielberg. No, it's not that. It's so much deeper. This is the most intimate, the most honest I have ever seen Spielberg. When you think of Spielberg, you think of, big spectacle cinema and something based on a concept. This is simply just about him and growing up and him balancing love, hate, confusion throughout his youth, and along the way, his, most passionate hobby, or he doesn't really want it to be called a hobby, but his passion is just making movies. And you can kind of see that even his passion for movies fluctuates due to the events of this film. I'm not going to get a lot away because I think this really deserves to be seen. This is fucking incredible. I was crying at certain points in this film when I wasn't even supposed to. Like, it wasn't like an emotional scene. It's just, I feel like this film is so well put together. It's so honest that it really just hits you in a place you weren't expecting it to. Drive My Car is the first film that I saw from Ryosuke Hamaguchi this year at the very beginning of the year. And as a result of that, I actually don't remember a lot of this movie. I just remember it being absolutely fantastic. It is about loss, and it is told through such a tender, quiet, intelligent lens that shows us how we are formed by what we consume, what we love, what we lose, and the people that we meet. This is actually the second film from Hamaguchi that I saw this year. Well, it was the first one that I saw, and then I saw another one, and that one is Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy, also by Ryosuke. This one I found to be, both of them are extremely intimate films, but I just like the structure of this film a lot. I think that the three stories that they tell and how they connect with one another and how it's all about chance encounter and the dialogue. Like I said, I think both of these films are almost equally good. I think they are equally good. I think that I just prefer Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy simply because it's a lot more ambiguous than Drive My Car, and I am a big fan of ambiguity. I think the understated tact and the supreme emotional intelligence that this film displays maybe is the reason why I prefer it, just simply because it's so simple and yet it leaves you with so many thoughts and emotions. Those are my favorites.
Call Sonny Larry. Didn't you and he used to be the best of friends?
We're still the best of friends.
No, you're not.
Who says we're not?
Sit somewhere else.
The Banshees of Inisherin is probably my narrative film of the year. You'll see with my other two films after this that make up the top two, you'll see what I mean. Banshees of Inisherin, as somebody who has a very good friend who is a major in medieval Irish history and has an obsession with Irish politics, Irish literature, I've heard a lot. and I feel like I know quite a bit. And this film does a fantastic job at displaying this conflict between neighbors that Ireland became after the British occupation. And I always knew that Martin McDonagh was a great writer, but In Bruges and Three Billboards, I actually really liked those films, but there was never something that made it really connect with me on a deep level. This film really does that, because you don't even have to know a lot about Irish history just to connect with this film. It's so simple. It is simply about two friends in a very small community, one of which just doesn't like one of them randomly, and the other guy is just trying to deal with it. All of the other side characters in this film are fucking fantastic. They could have their own films. Like, they could literally just be about those side characters. Ugh, this is just beautiful. Go and see this. Descendant by Margaret Brown is likely to be one of the most morally complex films you'll ever see. It's about a town in Mobile, Alabama, or next to Mobile, Alabama, called Africatown. It's had many names throughout history, but this town was established by freed slaves from a slave ship that came to America when the slave trade was illegal. And because these slaves came in very late, slavery was actually abolished not too long after they arrived. So instead of being indoctrinated into slavery and having that mostly all you've ever known, these Africans were very much aware that they didn't belong here. And they had to keep it a secret for such a long time as to how they were brought to America in the first place. And this film, it goes through the different phases that Africatown has gone through the industrialization from owned land that is still owned by plantation owners, like the families of plantation owners that enslaved their ancestors. And basically how this film is structured is that it's about finding that ship that came over called the Clotilda. And some of these scenes in this film are some of the most mind-blowing situational documentary footage I've ever seen. And on top of that, this film has such a grasp on what the South is and the identity of the South. The South is not a simple black and white place, it is complex, and that's what this film displays so well. Okay folks, we have reached the end. We are at the number 1 spot. Now, as I was saying before, my favorite film of the year isn't necessarily my favorite narrative film. That would go to Banshees. And then, obviously, Descendant was a documentary. But this film, I just appreciate its form. I appreciate what it represents so much. So much that it is worthy of the number 1 spot. And that film is, ladies and gentlemen,
もう閉めちゃっていいんですよね。
あ
あ。リハーサル順調ですか？
いじってくんの。
うちは持って見に行きますよ。マスターって書いてあるやつ。おい、
おい、こっちこっち、モニターの方。よ、俺なんだけど。おう。俺は未来の俺なんだって。2分後の俺なんだって。俺に話しかけてる？お前に話しかけてる。
Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes is a testament to indie filmmaking. This is such a mind-boggling sci-fi film that is based on a simple concept but done so masterfully, so inconceivably, that it is hard not to be in awe of this. The film itself, you can say that it's based on a gimmick. Well, that gimmick is executed with such sincerity and such expertise that you really don't even care that this whole movie is a gimmick. And on top of that, they add a genuinely engaging story. But you know what? It really isn't about the film itself. The film itself is awesome, but like I said earlier, it's what it represents. Like, one time I was trolling through YouTube and I found a few clips of David Mamet on the Joe Rogan podcast. And David Mamet made some amazing films in the 80s and 90s, and you know, he's mostly a playwright, but he's kind of turned into this conservative little douchebag who has become extremely misinformed. And he believes, and I'm not even joking when I say this, he doesn't know that indie filmmaking still exists. He genuinely believes that indie filmmaking is something of the past. He thinks that the studios are way too large and way too powerful, that indie filmmaking is simply not possible. He doesn't know about indie distributors at all, because he was a famous playwright. So of course he's gonna get a deal from a big budget studio. But he had no idea. He has no idea that indie filmmaking still exists. This film was made on a budget of I think like $15,000. And it is mind-blowing. It is a mind-blowing sci-fi film. And then you have people like Christopher Nolan, who create these mind-boggling sci-fi films that are done through editing and CG and whatnot. And they cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. James Cameron with Avatar. And you see something like this and it's like, all you need is passion, a camera, and some people who are willing to join you in that passion. I mean, what this film represents is a revolution. And let this be a fuck you to people like David Mamet. Like, seriously, fuck that guy. Well, thank you all for joining me. This was a very long video. I actually tried with the editing a little bit. Still did it on my phone. We'll graduate from there shortly, I imagine. But thanks for tuning into this series of lists. Peace.